Hello, everybody. So today's topic is basically, five mistakes restaurant or food truck businesses should not make. Now, this is an important research-based topic that I've been dealing with a lot of restaurant owners, especially in the U.S. I myself at one time ran about five branches of a restaurant, and I was involved in all the way from setup, pulling permits, dealing with contractors, hiring staff, buying equipment, looking at the maintenance, the cost of operations, and then finally, getting the staff and the shifts rolling and all that stuff, right? And checking on all the different processes that had to be done in order to be compliant with the food safety regulations, blah blah blah. There's a lot of it. I'm not going to go into all that stuff. This is focused on five mistakes hospitality industry entrepreneurs or current businesses who've been running and kind of unfortunately stagnate at some point because everybody gets into business to grow, right? So let's go over these five things and we'll go in the order of, fifth with the least amount of weight to the first, so we'll go from five, four, three, two, one, and that ways we can just kind of order it in that way. So before we go into it, key restaurant statistics, two out of three private sector jobs in the United States are basically, created in the hospitality industry, and by small businesses essentially, right? So roughly half of small businesses owners fail in their efforts to, sustain their firm for more than 5 years, right? So, reasons why restaurant fail. I mean, researchers have identified several reasons for failure. Okay, in independent restaurants, there's limited resources when opening a restaurant. I mean, that's a common problem we all face. Competition. If you've got either too little foot traffic or you got too much distraction with competing businesses or restaurants serving the same kind of cuisine or you know general setup on the same strip mall or in the same mall or the plaza or wherever you have it, that can create a scenario in which the failure, is possible. Restaurant density, of course, if you're sitting within a cluster of restaurants, you're kind of lost in it, and there's no specific targeted foot traffic that you're pulling in. Or you're working on platforms where there are like 50 different restaurants offering the same food you're offering. So now where's the focus? Where's the customer loyalty? I mean, there's competition is more, right? So there are chances you get lost in the crowd, failing to adjust to market conditions, and management incompetence, right? Now, not to take it personally, management incompetence is, it follows the, and I guess you would agree with me more than anybody else. It's a, always continuous improvement process, right? More information you have, more perspective you have, and so many things. For some of these, which we'll discuss right now, and I think you'll find them very valuable. Key to success, business leaders focus, company sustainability efforts through active participation with internal or external stakeholders, or face failure if only focusing on organizational goals, right? So yeah, we've all been guilty of that. I mean, I myself, as with some experience in hands-on restaurant management and in this industry, you get so overwhelmed with all the little details on the daily thing that you forget about literally taking some time every day to interact with the customers who are your stakeholders and anybody else who's interacting with your business. And I think customers are the key stakeholder, and we'll discuss some of those points here. A quick definition for this FW's Business Corner. It's basically, think tank based, research based information that is provided for free. And it comes out, the free website site.com, which enables small businesses to get started on their online journey as quickly as possible. If you have any questions, you want to get a network with our other business, customers who are willing to kind of share their knowledge and their wisdom, then you could, book a consultation and we can network you. Five things that help your restaurant business thrive. Okay, now here are the top five branding or mistakes that really happen. It is kind of subliminally on the brand, but let's look at it, and it goes a little bit more deeper than that. So we'll go up in the order of five to one. So number one, getting constant feedback, right? So restaurant managers gain relevant information regarding customer tastes and preferences through daily interactions, right? So you might have seen in movies, you've got the restaurant owner walking around, socializing, mingling with people, but that's usually in fine dining setting. But this also applies to you if you're running a food truck. You've got a individual restaurant selling burgers or some exotic cuisine, and you have to not be the guy who's billing, collecting the cash only. Yes, you have to do that probably 90% of your time as a cashier, and then rest of the time you're running whatever else operations you need to run. But make sure you take some time outside of it where you can actually like put everything aside and go take a walk with your and go talk to the customer, see where the engagement points would lie, and then try to get some feedback, right? So despite growing empirical data on customer loyalty, researchers noted that both brand image and brand loyalty play a distinctive role in solidifying customers' perceptions through successful experience with the brand, right? So you're a brand. Even if you're selling noodles, you're still a brand, or steak or whatever, right? So it's the hospitality industry. So customer loyalty, plays a big role for repeat customers, of course, right? And also the word of mouth. I will cover something very interesting later on in another video, which is to do with the word of mouth and going viral, right? This is not a new concept, goes back, decades. And I mean, of course, with social media, we're talking another kind of viral, but there's something called word of mouth, right? I'll go into that, and there's a model with calculations and all that stuff. You might not necessarily use it. I mean, I'm talking as a business consultant or an MBA with a lot of professional degree, industry experience and calculations and all that stuff. But just by looking at those models, listening to it, you might be able to kind of get a general direction about where it needs to go. And of course, if you want to go really deep into it, then you need to talk to business consultants who will help you. But let's take as much as we can take away from this, right? So basically, through successful experiences with the brand, the customer starts to form those positive associations and brand loyalty. To stand out to your customers, you must understand the customers, right? So you need to have their perspective of how they are experiencing what's happening. So gathering daily feedback, this could be on premise, within your hospitality catering restaurant, thing, or it could be the online where you have your website, for instance, and you've got either subscription for emails, for coupons, for special events, etc. And if you have customers, you try to give them a portal, a way to engage with you and give some feedback, right? So encourage customers to contact you and engage in return for discounts or some goodies, right? This builds customer loyalty and relationship. It's very important. Number four, not knowing the market size in terms of the total value of market. Okay, you need to know what your target market is. If you don't want to fail, you need to set the goals, right? So U.S. consumer spends on an average about 13% of their household expenditure on food, with only 6% accounting for, in general, of course, everything is a bell curve, right? But 6% going out for, consumers who dine or, consume food away from home at restaurants, right? Now, this could obviously, like I said, a bell curve. It's a majorly urban area like New York City, where you got thousands of restaurants and millions of people. The spend will be different, right? Also, the lifestyle is different compared to a suburban compared to like a more rural, spread out area, right? So those things will differ. But anyways, this data could hold true for any other country. I mean, not only for the U.S. A lot of this, research data points have been, collected from various bureaus and agencies and researchers in the U.S., right? But the same thing plays out in almost all, cosmopolitan, modernized economies, which have got the same economic infrastructure, right? So as well as variance based on culture, right? And urban versus suburban settings, and also these basically influence the recency, right? The frequency and the monetary value, which is kind of it's an RFM model, right? Which has got its own calculations and its own importance in the world of understanding business. The RFM model basically, one of the influencing factors is the population density and so on and so forth. So, anyways, going forward, um, knowing this can help you set targeted expectations, right? As calculated by the average household income in the area your restaurant or establishment is set up or is catering. The foot traffic that is there. You should have these numbers already. And I know that most of the restaurant, not all, and if you're starting off new, you should know this. Foot traffic is a main component for how much you can get in because advertising People are not going to, people who are already coming there are your best prospects, or the people who are going to come and try it out. So foot traffic, online direct to customer, sales either through your own website or through a third party platform, right? Which of course comes with a lower profit. So if you're using some particular platform, which has got, it's got its disadvantages and advantages. Of course, you've got some visibility, potential visibility, but then every transaction you're paying them 20 to 35% in terms of margin or commission, which is a lot. And also, you've got competition. Means if you're present there, yeah, but you got 50 other restaurants probably offering the same food, so you're not able to funnel them away into yours. When you have your own website and people start ordering there, and you've built it and you've stabilized that, then these people are coming straight to you, even if they kind of want to try something else or something, but if they're already in the loop, you can engage with them, right? So anyways, the market size is paramount. You need to know that. If you have any questions on how to calculate that specifically, leave a comment, and I'll post something on from that. Now, focus on the customer experience and not revenue. Now, this is something that most of operating business owners are kind of guilty of. Once the revenue, you have, I mean, your first priority is profitability, right? You're looking at that, but at some point, the blur, as I've mentioned before, increases so much that you've got all the things that are on your shoulder, and you forget about what is my customer experiencing, and as a result, you'll have some disgruntled or unsatisfied customers. That's not a good thing. A full service restaurant manager who is knowledgeable in brand equity theory can develop and deploy strategies to ensure some strong impressions of their brands and implants of consumers' memory to favorable experiences. Brand equity is the customer's perspective of a product or service based on the brand association and of the product and service, right? So one of the biggest mistakes restaurant owners can make is to get so busy with the day-to-day operational activities that they forget to take a step back and see and gauge, the customer experience, which is a key influencer for customer brand loyalty, right? So customers' loyalty relates to a person's intention or preference to repeat business with the same establishment, right? And usually that is directly related to their current experience or their expectation of experience, and then what they actually experience, right? So they experience cognitive dissonance where they're like, I'm not very happy with the food, it kind of sucks. And on you top it up with no interaction and just complete alienation. So you were just a guy who kind of picked up, paid $25 for something, and then you're out the door. You didn't like it, you're not going to go back soon, or you're not at all, right? So the question is, what steps can you list? Okay, and please leave a comment below that will increase the customer loyalty for your business, right? And how will you execute these steps in a measured way, quantified way? Would you be able to do that? What are your ideas? Leave me a comment, okay? Well, so then the second most important thing is focus on customer satisfaction, right? So experience is a bigger, is a general what are customers experiencing. And you need to focus on the top of the pyramid, which is the customer satisfaction. That is the most important key element. Customer satisfaction is the overall fulfillment of customers' expectations regarding purchase of goods or services, right? So the key word there is the fulfillment of customers' expectation, So you've set an expectation and you fulfill it or you don't fulfill it, right? Websites such as Yelp, TripAdvisor, Urban Spoon, and there are a lot of other, websites that you probably know of, were developed so that people could share their good and bad experiences with other potential guests, in the hospitality industry or, restaurants or food industry, which is the biggest part of the hospitality industry. Remember, it is all about perception, right? Does your restaurant present, customers with an opportunity to form happy and satisfied memories? If yes, think about ways how you could improve these opportunities of creating these positive experiences and memories, right? You know what I'm talking about, selfie. And if no, and if you think that, well, you've kind of ignored it, then think about the ways about creating such opportunities within your establishment before the customer arrives, while they are there, and after they have left. Think about it, break it down. You know best, and come up with some ideas. If you have any questions, leave comments below because our team is going to continually get more content out there for you. Now, having a website gives customer assurance that a business is professionally run, right? So this is one of these things. When you want to set up an expectation, here's the deal. If you have a social media presence, I mean, I've heard it a lot. A lot of restaurants, or small restaurants, especially, they say, "Well, why do I need to have a website? I mean, I've got social media, but there are a lot of people there. I can do whatever I want." Couple of things. Part of social media is dead, right? You'll never show up. You can try it. You'll never show up in the feed of people on your personal social media. I would not name the names of the social media. You post it. You got 500 to 1,000 friends. You get 3 likes, right? 5 likes. Okay, you might get more likes in some cases than the other, but depending on who you are, you know what I'm talking about. Even worse if you're a business, business page, because the algorithms are made so that you pay for presence, right? If you don't pay for presence, you're absent. You won't show up anywhere. No likes, no engagement, right? On the other hand, if you have a website, yes, you'll be like, who's going to go there? Once people start going there and you keep it alive, right? You keep it alive. You use a platform such as FWS and you keep it alive. You post new things, you engage with the customers. People can see something always there. Make people come there. That's the main thing. The best thing about FWS is you can edit it on your phone. So you don't have to sit down on a computer and, set up and kind of, channel in your Shakespeare, right? You can do it on the go. If you're riding with somebody in a car, or you're like lounging in the backyard or something like that, and you're like, hey, let me look at this and let me edit and publish, finish, right? That's what you want. So having that, the restaurant happens. The competition of the social media, the blur, the mufflers and the dampers that they've put on it, the visibility is gone. You need to build your own social presence. That's the main point. And the point is that you're basically trying to build the expectation, okay, in the customer. If they come to social media and they see some negative or anything like that comments, for example, you've already kind of fed them the bitter pill, basically, and they're like, they've got already influences, while you're in business to offer the best to your customers, right? That's why you started the business. But if somebody had in the past, because of a mishap, or some wild card situation where you can control it and something went bad, and that person goes in and they kind of write a long 50-word essay about how your business didn't satisfy them. You've already kind of, you don't want to be there. If you have your website, you control the space. You can add the positive experiences if you have made changes based on previous experiences that you had, or mistakes that you made, and you've made amendments, for instance, right? You can show those on your website. So even if somebody goes and reads something negative and they come to your website, and you've got some part on the website that says, hey, we had a problem with such and such thing, and we fixed it, and now these are the pictures. So you add a video or something like that, that kind of shows what the current situation is, which is not you know as was with what had happened, whatever had happened. So you're kind of managing expectations, something like that, and then of course you have to deliver once the patrons in the door, right? So the final and the fifth one is the thing that you should not lose focus of is to focus on what can and does go wrong and mitigate the probability of it. Right now, running a business or a restaurant business, yeah, there are a lot of things that can go wrong when you start the business. About for example, I have an example where we had a frozen yogurt shop in Virginia, actually a series of them. And what happened is, after the staff had recycled a few times, the new staff did not read the manual as well as the first staff was trained with. Things were assumed. They had some previous experience from some other establishments, so it was assumed that they know what they're doing, so on and so forth. And finally, what happened is, in the hoppers, that's the place where all the good stuff lies before it kind of freezes and then kind of comes out in a cone or a cup. They're supposed to cycle it in a certain way so that it doesn't become, produce some small icicles. You don't leave it overnight, for instance. There are certain steps you do. They stopped doing it, or they kind of forgot about it, and nobody checked it for 2 or 3 days. And soon enough, customers were like, huh, this is not as good as it used to be. And now you've got a downward spiral because, word of mouth, people will be like, let's go to that place. And, if it's a group of friends, and they're like, nah, last time I went there, that wasn't so good, let's go to that place. So now you've lost a customer, a group of customers, and new potential customers. So think about within the operational realm, Of course, customer expectation is there. You have to be, like driving defensively. You need to first figure out what could go wrong, and you've got to always be checking. In restaurant industry, like I'd mentioned before, is the largest portion of hospitality industries, right? So restaurants serve as much larger volume of guests because as compared to, let's say, hotels and stuff like that, right, or resorts. Therefore there's a lot of possibility that and there's more interaction, and negative experiences can occur. You need to know that. The more customers you have, the possibility of something going wrong with some customer or a group of customers increases. It's a good problem, but you need to mitigate that risk. Disgruntled customers can go online on third party websites and leave poor reviews like TripAdvisor and all that stuff. Now, what you're going to do in many cases, you cannot change that. You cannot request them to delete that comment. That comment's going to stay there forever, right? These reviews many times can not be deleted or moderated, as I said. And the way to counter this possibility of negative impressions is to have a great up-to-date website that shows the daily section or something like I mentioned before, that counters that negative experience somebody has with evidence of change, for instance, right? and so you can control your space a little bit, and you have something to fall back on in case things go south on other platforms that you really don't control. I hope you found this these 5 points useful. Please like and subscribe and share it with your other friends, or your employees, or people who use this, and see if you could basically learn from it and implement some of it. Leave some comments below. Thank you, and appreciate your time.